Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, if you're ready, we can start, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, we can.
Okay, Prabhu.
Krishna.
Prabhu, do you just want me to share the shloka or?
Yes, Prabhu. If you can,
sure.
We may refer a few shlokas here and there, so you can have the control of
okay,
the
Prabhu.
screen
Sure.
share, you know.
Sure. Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya on a Saturday morning. Today we'll be just continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26, which is about King Purajana goes to forest to hunt and his queen becomes very angry. Today we'll be just covering shloka number 7 and 8, and we have the privilege of having His Grace Kalachakra Krishna Prabhu, who will be actually taking the class today. Prabhu, over to you. Onwards.
Thank you, Prabhu. I'll say the Mangalacharan, Prabhu, the Mangalacharans, then we'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naranchaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्री गुरून् दीनतारिणं Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyameshwaram. Namo Vishnu Pada Vishnu Vishnu Bhutale Srimati Mahavishnu Vishnu. Namo Vishnu Pada Vishnu Vishnu Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dhamani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vicharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Devesharani. Hare Krishna Prabhuji Mataji Dandavat Pranam. So nice to have your association today, all of you, on this nice morning, Saturday morning, and thanks to ICC management team and especially Sankarshan Priya Prabhu for keeping me engaged in. It's like a double dhamaka, you know. We get to meditate on Bhagavatam also, and we also get to associate with Bhagavatas. So and get to discuss very nicely, relish Bhagavatam in association of all of you. So thank you again, and we will proceed with this verse 426:7. My humble request that the second sloka, it's quite deep. So we may have to do it only the summary part of it, because the verse number 7 itself is quite deep. So we won't have much time to really combine both of them. So we will try to do the verse number 7 and then summarize the verse 8 along with it. Yevam karma niyatam vidwan kurvita manavaha karmana tena rajendra jnanena nasalipyate. Yaha, anyone who, evam, thus, karma, activities, niyatam, regulated, vidwan, learned, kurvita, should perform, manavaha, a human being, karmana, by such activities, tena, by this, raja, indra, O king, jnanena, by advancement of knowledge, na, never, saha, he, lipyate, becomes involved. Translation and purpose based given by Sabai Charnar in the Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narada Muni continued to speak to King Prachina Barhishat. My dear king, any person who works according to the directions of the Vedic scriptures does not become involved in fruitive activities. Just as a government may issue trade licenses in order for its citizens to act in a certain way, the Vedas contain injunctions that restrain and regulate all of our fruitive activities. All living entities have come into this material world to enjoy themselves. Consequently, the Vedas are given to regulate sense enjoyment. One who enjoys his senses under the Vedic regulative principle does not become entangled in the actions and reactions of his activities. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.9, Yajnartat Karmanaha, one should act only for the performance of yajna or to satisfy Lord Vishnu. Anyata lokoyam karma bandhanaha, otherwise any action will produce a reaction by which the living entity will be bound. A human being is especially meant to attain liberation from the bondage of birth, death, old age, and disease. He is therefore directed by the Vedic regulative principles to work in such a way that he may fulfill his desires for sense gratification and at the same time gradually become freed from material bondage. Action according to such principles is called knowledge. Indeed, the word Veda means knowledge. The word Jnanena Nasalipyate indicates that by following the Vedic principles, one does not become involved in the actions and reactions of his fruitive activities. Everyone is therefore advised to act in terms of the Vedic injunctions and not irresponsibly. When a person within a state acts according to the criminal activities, man-made laws, however, are always defective because they are made by men who are prone to commit mistakes, being illusioned, cheating, and having imperfect senses. The Vedic instructions are different because they do not have these four defects. Vedic instructions are not subject to mistakes. The knowledge of the Vedas is knowledge received directly from God, and there is consequently no question of illusion, cheating, mistakes, or imperfect senses. All Vedic knowledge is perfect because it is received directly from God by the parampara, disciplic succession. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, it is said, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye, the original creature of this universe known as the Adikavi or Lord Brahma was instructed by Krishna through the heart. After receiving these Vedic instructions from Lord Krishna himself, Brahma distributed the knowledge by the parampara system to Narada. And Narada in turn distributed the knowledge to Vyasa. In this way, Vedic knowledge is perfect. If we act according to Vedic knowledge, there is no question of being involved in sinful activities. Jai Srila Prabhupada, translated purports ki jai. We will also read the next verse and the translation. Anyatha karma kurvano manarudho nibhadyate guna pravaha patito nashta prajno vrajatyadha. Otherwise, a person who acts whimsically falls down due to false prestige. Thus, he becomes involved in the laws of nature, which are composed of the three qualities: goodness, passion, and ignorance. In this way, a living entity becomes devoid of his real intelligence and becomes perpetually lost in the cycle of birth and death. Thus, he goes up and down from a microbe in stool to high position in the Brahmaloka planet. So, Prabhu's Matajis will come back to this particular verse, 4:26:7. This is a very, in this section, you all would have been reading it in sequence, so you may know what is going on. That this Prachina Barhishat, the very great king, and his sons are the Prachetas. We know how wonderfully the Prachetas were doing tapas. They were met by Lord Shiva in the process, and then he gave them the prayers to please the Lord, to satisfy the Lord. And then with that prayers, with the blessings of Lord Shiva, they went and they did very severe austerities, sitting inside the water, in a big lake, under the water for a long time. And then they were blessed by Lord Vishnu in the end. While this is happening, Prachina Barhishat, who is the father of these great souls, Prachetas, he was engaged in fruitive activities. In other words, doing the sacrifices for the, fruitive activities in the sense, doing a lot of these sacrifices, yajnas, all these things for the, to maintain the bodily things, the things that are related to the bodily things. Firstly, there are two problems here. One problem is that it is done for the bodily maintenance. The body as it is, it's not going to be there with us always. So, and while it is there with us also, it is full of dukha layam ashasvatam, the shariram vyadi mandiram, it is said. Just to maintain that, he's spending so much of his valuable time and is trying to maintain it, which is shiryate iti shariraha, it is said. That which is decaying, always in a deteriorating state, is called sharira. It doesn't grow up, it's on a decaying path always, right? So just to maintain that, if you are spending some valuable time, which you are not going to get it back, that is not a very intelligent act. That is one problem. And the second problem is, it is done with expectation. There is, it's called, apeksha. When I do this, I will get it back. I say I get something in return. And the return should always be more than what I am giving. Otherwise, we all are investing, we all are doing, investing our money and, savings and everything in so many places, right? Why we are investing? You are investing so that that money will yield more money, or the property will grow in its value. You will get more money, etc. But have you ever thought that whatever we are doing with this expectation and trying to, grow this body and body related things, at the end of the day, it has to leave, and not a single penny we are going to take with us. But the funny thing is, in order to grow something which we are not going to take with us, we are spending something which does not grow but only decreases. What is that? That is time. We are given only fixed time with us, and it doesn't grow. It only goes down. And that, that is why it is beautifully said that in Bhagavad Mahatmya, there is a beautiful verse. This sharira, it actually just decays. It is anitya. But with this anitya sharira, we can do nitya karma. That is the beauty Krishna has given, that, it's like a best of the bad bargain, we say, right? So he is asking this beautiful the argument that is put forward by the ghost. Dundukari becomes a ghost. You know that story. And he is speaking to the when he is liberated, this in that group where this Bhagavad Sapta is being done by his brother. His name is Atmadev, right? Or yeah, so he is doing the Bhagavad Saptaha, and that time only by the Bhagavatam he was liberated. This Dundukari, who was sitting inside the bamboo as a ghost, and he says, Yat pratah sanskritam channam sayam tatcha vinashyati tadiya rasa sampushte kaye ka nama nityada. This is beautifully asking this question, that the food that which we are taking in the morning, if you don't take, if you just keep the rice or the dal or something that you prepare, whatever, idli, dosa, pizza, whatever you may take, you may cook. If you cook it in the morning, in the evening it becomes stale and you cannot take it. It becomes spoiled. Tadiya rasa sampushte. So when something which is so temporary, only living one day, existing only for a day, from there you are extracting the rasa, the essence, the strength, and you are maintaining this body. Kaya ka nama nityada. Where will there be eternity for that body which is maintained by such a temporary and transient item? If you are supposed to maintain something eternally, it has to be maintained, it has to be nourished by the eternal thing. Soul, that is why the food for the soul cannot be given by our different food items that we have, or the different the wealth, possession, savings, or even the relationships that we have in this world. That cannot give the real satisfaction to the soul. It's only bhakti, which is eternal, which is nitya, that can give full satisfaction to Atma. Krishna's the association of Krishna, and the association of devotees who are absorbed in devotion service, right? So these two problems we have to see. So what he's saying after this sloka in Bhagavat Mahatmya, that Tadiya rasa sampushte kaya kama ka nama nityada, he says that even with that anitya, kuto anitya body, you can do nitya, you can do eternal benefit to the soul by using it in the service of Krishna, by performing devotional service, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, by chanting his holy names, by helping others, etc., etc. Right? That can be done. So what we have to do is, he's saying that kutoyan sadhayan nahi. Why can't you do this eternal activity of that which leads you to eternity, using, even though this body is temporary, it can help us. The one good thing is that it can help us in performing eternal activity, and that is devotional service. And that is exactly what is the intelligent proposition given by all the sages in throughout Bhagavatam. If you see this particular section, which Narad Muni is talking to Prachina Barishisha, this concept is repeated in quite a few places, and that is the essence or crux of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is that concept? He is telling one thing, that your sons are actually doing such tapas for eternal well-being of themselves and for everyone else, right? Bhakti is so beautiful that by us doing that, the eternal nitya seva, everyone else also get benefited, and they also become nitya. They also get impacted by it, right? So that he's asking this question, why are you unnecessarily wasting your time in these fruitive activities? You are supposed, if your sons are doing these activities, you are supposed to do the same devotional service and give up the entire rajya to your sons and move off to become a vanaprastha or whatever, renounce everything and move off. This always holding on to things is very detrimental and dangerous to our existence, So this is what he is telling, and as a result, he is telling to connect to the message, the instruction. He is sharing the story of Puranjana, who is none other than, in fact, is somewhat didn't want to, when sages, when they have to say some, when the saints and sages, then they have to give some message to a specific person. They will tell in a very indirect way. It will be about indicating about them only, but the audience, the person, the audience only, the one who is hearing, but they will do it in an indirect way, So that's how he is telling the story of Puranjana, which is nothing but how much he is endeavoring so hard to fulfill this sense gratification, and in the end, just wasting his time, basically, So in that process, he is telling this thing, this particular few slokas. He is saying any person who works according to the direction of the Vedic scriptures does not become involved in fruitive activities. Otherwise, a person who acts whimsically falls down due to false prestige. So there are two important words here, three things. One is fruitive activity. The other thing is whimsical. What is whimsical, we have to understand. And then we have to understand why it leads to false prestige. This is very important for us to contemplate on. Now, in this regard, Srila Prabhupada also quotes this nice verse from Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, verse 23, the last but one verse, where he says, it's a very powerful verse. And as a consequence of that, Arjuna is also asking a question the following, the 17th chapter. But this verse you will read. He says that Yash Shastra Vidhi Mutsrajya Vartate Kamakaratah Nasa Siddhima Vapnoti Na Sukham Na Parangatim. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Now it's very interesting. Krishna himself is giving this order or statement that one who discards scriptural injunctions, Shastra Vidim Utsrujya, one who gives up the instructions of the Shastras. Now Shastra says so many things. You do this, you will get that. You do that, you will get this. Vedas say so many things. And in this verse also, Narad Muni so clearly says that if you work according to the direction of the Vedic scriptures, you can never go wrong. You will never become involved in fruitive activities. The verse which we read. Now, this is very interesting. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So, Vedas say you do this, you do that. So many different things are given, right? For material well-being, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, it deals with all these things. So how to understand? On the one hand, it talks about dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and Krishna says Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Vedas talk about those things, the modes of material nature only. You have to rise above the three modes. But at the same time, he is telling we should not discard the scriptural injunctions. How do you understand this apparently, contradicting or conflicting statements? Vedas did not say only this three things. By and large, it says about the three things. But if you see in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says very clearly, Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sannivishto Matta Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha Vedaischa Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Vedavid Eva Chaham Vedasya Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo. The essence of all Vedas, the purpose of all these instructions is to know me and accept me as the Supreme Lord. If that is not achieved, then whatever else you are doing is a waste of time. See? So what Vedas do is that they give a gradual progression. Like you do these things basically. Even if you want to, you have this body. Once Zona Jayapatak Maharaj said very nicely that even taking prasadam is sense gratification in one way. Because are you not gratifying your senses? There are some taste in it, right? You are enjoying the taste. Even though you are saying it is Krishna prasadam, you do it in not. But that sense gratification is done to please Krishna or to become more attached to devotional service. When we keep on honoring prasadam, we will get more taste for devotional service, right? Same way, when you do some seva, somebody will give some appreciation or you will get some benefits, monetary or some kind of different types of benefits. Somebody will help you. All these are results. But how do we take it as a part of furthering our devotional service more? That is the crux. So Krishna says very clearly, Vedasya Sarvaira Hameva Vedyo, Vedascha Sarvaira Hameva Vedyo. That is the ultimate essence of Vedas. Doing all these activities which are described, you do this, you do that, etc., is to come to the ultimate point that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna is ultimate. We have to become Gopi Bhartur Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasanu Dasa. And this in Vedas, sometimes it may not be very clearly. Sometimes, even though it is clear, people may not be able to understand it clearly. So, in order to make it even more crystal clear, Srila Vyasadeva was instructed by Narad Muni to elaborate on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, through various stories and pastimes, like for example, in this pastime, it is very clearly given how Prachina Barhi was doing this waste of time. He was wasting his time in doing so many different yajnas, yagas, etc. Even Prithu Maharaj was also instructed not to continue those 100 sacrifices. At the end of the day, even if you do that 100 sacrifices with great endeavor and effort, what you will get? You will get Indra post. That post is also not permanent. So what is the point? You are unnecessarily misleading everyone else also to do this kind of a yajna. 1 or 2 you can do, that you can stop. By doing 100, you have agitated Indra also. Then you will do some other yajna and you will agitate Chandra, Surya, everybody. How does it work? Our aim is not to agitate people. Once I heard, once I was hearing a beautiful realization just recently from my Guru Maharaj that even in devotional service, we take pleasure, we get pleasure, but that pleasure also we should get it in, we should experience it, or we should enjoy it in such a way that it should not impact others negatively. It should not impact others adversely, or it should not create disturbance in others. Many times we do, we say that, hey, I will go and chant loudly. If somebody doesn't like it, then it means he doesn't have taste for the holy names. Let me just do my thing. When I chant loudly, everybody will hear, and even if they don't like it, they will get benefit. This kind of it sometimes it borders around an aggressiveness or arrogance. We should do devotional service in such a way that it should not disturb others. Like Yasman no dujate loko lokan no udujate jaya. One who is not disturbed by others, and he also does not disturb others. It's very important. Krishna says that instruction also in Bhagavad Gita. That's why in our devotional path, it is not that we take just things literally. Krishna tells different things at different times accordingly, and we should like a jigsaw puzzle. You put everything together, and according to the context, time, place, and circumstances, Desha Kala Patra, things have to be applied there. And that is why we need Shastras, especially Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And not only that, we need someone who is really realized Shastra Chakshu, the Shastra Chakshu. From them, we should surrender to them, take guidance from them, and follow our life accordingly. Otherwise, we won't be able to just like that take us. If everybody can take just a Shastra instruction and put it there, then there is no need for a guide at all. There is no need for spiritual masters. Why we have all these examples, Acharyas, sadhus, everybody, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, why we have all these? Because Shastras on their own, they can be sometimes confusing for a neophyte thing. That is why, even if you see someone who is as experienced as Vyasadeva, Vasudeva, then here Prachina Barhi is not an ordinary person. He was also given instruction by Narad Muni. So they all take instructions to teach us that any time, all the time, we have to be dependent on such great personalities. Like we have our Srila Prabhupada who has given everything in toto. But simply by reading alone, we will get it. But unless and until we surrender to a spiritual master or take assistance from some senior Vaishnavas, we won't be able to understand thing. We may sometimes confuse ourselves and say that, hey, this is what Prabhupada says, and they will do it. And there are so many different varieties of Prabhupada said things in our society also, if you see. Because Prabhupada says things according to time, place, and circumstances, and we have to follow them with the guidance from senior Vaishnavas who do not have, who have studied the Shastras, who have gone through more meticulously, and they don't have any ulterior motive or some material things to take from us, right? That is why this is very important. It's a very great responsibility to be a guru. That's why it said Guru na sasyat pitana sasyat. That is said Guru is a very great responsibility. And for him to remove the miseries of the living entities and establish them eternally at the lotus in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna is a great endeavor. They have to they do that endeavor in such a way that even till the point that person becomes completely fixed in that service, they have to keep guiding them, even if it means coming life after life, isn't it? So this sloka is very, very beautiful. Prabhu, can you please bring it up on the screen a bit, 16.23? Because the purport, it's very interesting, because even in the translation, Prabhupada uses this word whims. We said, we said we wanted to understand what is whimsical, no? So this is very interesting. If you come down a bit, Prabhu, it's a very beautiful meaning he gives for the. See, a person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. He knows that this is forbidden, but still he acts. This is called acting whimsically. Prabhupada gives a beautiful definition of the word whimsical act. We say, no, he is doing whimsically. Whimsically does not mean whatever comes to his mind, he does. Whimsically also means, of course, he does that, but he does it in spite of the fact that he knows that this is wrong or this is right. We have to do, he will not do that. This is wrong, we should not do, but he will do that. He knows that this should be done, but still he does not do it. Therefore, he is called whimsical. We are supposed to do devotional service. He knows we are supposed to respect others. He knows he knows we are supposed to be grateful to others' help to us. He knows, but still he will not do. So that is the big challenge we face with people who avoid the injunctions of the scriptures. Vedescha sarve rahameva vedyo vedanta krit veda vidyeva chaham. When he says that in all of the Vedas I am to be known, we are told this. Some people they don't know. They may be, we will give them. Like, even if they don't know, it is not acceptable, because those who are studying Vedas, they know after doing every yajna, they say Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. That is a thing that they follow. Any priests you call for any yajna or home at home, they will do all demigod worship and everything. Finally, they will say Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Why? They know that everything has to be offered to Krishna ultimately. And that is why we are having from Krishna. There is no contradiction between the Vedic conclusions and the Bhagavad Gita conclusion. Everything is the same. So this is the very important point we should understand. And when we understand this, Prabhu's Mataji's, it's a startling or a bitter truth that we do this even in devotional service. We know certain things should not be done, but still we do it. We know that certain things have to be done, but still we don't do it. But there are two things we do. One is the services in devotional service itself, like it's basic, the simple things like chanting, reading, etc. Prabhupada has given a straightforward instruction: read my books for 1 hour. We don't do it. So we know that it gives us benefit, but still we don't do it. That is whimsical. He says you minimum chant 16 rounds. We know that we don't do it. And he says that eat prasadam, honor prasadam only. It will keep you in sattvic life, but we do eat somewhere else also, which is not prasadam. We want to gratify our senses. So this is all called whimsical. And these things, we are doing it with the aim or with the hope that I am a devotee, I can do devotional service and get rid of this these effects of negative effects of this my sense gratification. But the problem is that when we do devotional service, it will get rid of. But the devotional service itself, I am not doing properly, no? Only when I do it with proper intensity, it can get rid of the unknown, that which sins which I might have committed unknowingly. I am not doing that. How will it help? So this is the important, the very complicated conundrum that we have, that because we are acting whimsically, we are not able to get the benefit. And second problem is we are doing devotional service also as a fruitive activity. That I will do so things. I will do devotional service. Then my the sins and my whatever I am committing knowingly, unknowingly, they will be resolved. They will all be dissolved in the devotional service. It is true, the devotional service will dissolve everything, but we should not do it with that expectation. That is the most important thing we should understand. That's a place where most of us go wrong. If we commit something, then we by default we say that no, I will chant few rounds extra. It will purify. No, the chanting few rounds extra is to increase our dependence on Krishna. If we depend on Krishna, if we take shelter of Krishna more and more, if we taste Krishna, taste the sweetness of chanting the holy names more and more, then the effects of our fruitive actions will not impact us so much. That is the whole idea. It is also an offense to be, what is that? To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy names. It's a sin. It's an offense, right? So this is how we do even in our devotional service. We do it in such a way that we want some fruits out of it, and this is very dangerous. And that is why now that comes to this very interesting shloka in the 6th canto, 1st chapter. I think it is verse number 10, if I'm not wrong. Very beautiful understanding of the word, the fruitive activity. One second, let me get it. 6:1:10, I think. Yeah, 6:1:11. 6:1:11. This translation 11. 6:1:11. If you see, this is the best understanding of the word fruitive activity. Shukadeva Goswami is answering to Parikshit Maharaj's question, because Parikshit Maharaj says all these things that you are talking about is all Manye Kunjara Shauchavat. It's like elephant throwing its different atonements and prayashchita that you say. This is all they will come back and do the same mistake. What is the use? It's like elephant bathing with the mud. So in the answer, Shukadeva Goswami says beautifully, my dear king, since acts meant to neutralize impious actions are also fruitive, they will not release one from the tendency to act fruitively. Very beautiful meaning here. So he says something in between which you can skip, but in the interest of time. But towards the end, he says, therefore, real atonement is enlightenment in perfect knowledge, Vedanta, by which one understands the supreme absolute truth. This is basically Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Because with that knowledge only, we understand Krishna more. We understand who is supreme absolute truth. We understand how to please him. What will be possible for us to advance further in our life, progress in our path, in our goal of life. So this first line is very, very beautiful. Since acts meant to neutralize impious actions are also fruitive, they will not release one from the tendency to act fruitively. Such a beautiful statement. When we do, this is where, even when we do devotional service, let's do it to please Krishna. Let's not do it so that, I have committed so many offenses in my life, that will all get neutralized. No, don't do it with that expectation. Again, expectation comes in. Yes, dharmena mam nityam nirashihi shraddaya anvitaha bhajate shanakaistasya manorajan prasidati. It's 4:29, Prabhu, 4.20.9. Beautiful, beautiful shloka. This is how we should do our activities, our day-to-day activities in such a way that Krishna will be pleased. See, yes, swadharmena mam nityam. Whatever swadharma, occupational duty that we are prescribed with, we are endowed with, you do it mam nityam. You do it as regularly do it, but do it as a offering to me, or do it to please me. Mam nityam. You just do it to me. Please do it for my loving service. Nirashihi shraddaya anvitaha. With full faith and devotion. Nirashihi means without any expectation, without any motive, without any like this fruitive mentality, right? So you do your swadharma only. Krishna is not telling you leave everything and come to the Himalayas or some forest and all. He says you do your swadharma. To Arjuna also he says the same thing. You do your swadharma. Karmanyavadhikaraste mafaleshu padachana. So he says you do your devotional service. You do everything as devotional service. You do your work, you do your family maintenance, everything as my devotional service. With faith and devotion that I will be, that you are doing it for me and I will be pleased. Keep that faith in me with full faith. Bhajate, do devotional service. He is not saying you do household activities and come and do devotional service. It's a painful thing to note sometimes that, we employ somebody at home for washing the pots and everything. But when we go to some programs or somewhere, then we take up the service to do the same pot washing. How does it help? Because when we don't do it at home, it means that we are not seeing the activities that we do at home as devotional service. Whereas we go somewhere else and we say that, hey, I'm doing this service, because there I am getting the appreciation. Oh, Prabhu, you are such a great devotee. You are doing nicely washing the pots. At home, nobody appreciates or acknowledges our service. So we feel that I'm not getting, that is again fruitive mentality. When we do it for Krishna, it doesn't matter. Wherever we go, we should do it. No subtle way, these things affect us. That's why we are not satisfied many times, even with our own services. We think that, hey, no, Krishna Prabhupada said, if you are not satisfied in devotionals, it is good. It means you are doing better devotionals. No, all those are just bahanas, or lame excuses that we are giving for our shortcomings. We are not seeing everywhere whatever we are doing as devotional service. We are not, means what? Whatever I am doing, I should do it in order to please Krishna. That is all it means. Devotional service is nothing other than that. Yasmin tushte jagat tushtam. So we are nirashihi shraddhaya anvitaha. Then bhajate, when we do these our swadharmas with this mentality, nirashihi shraddhaya and nityam, and then as a pleasure, as a offering to Krishna, Shanakaistasya Manorajan Prasidati, his mind will be completely satisfied. Prabhupada says fully satisfied. Prasidati, it becomes Prasiddhi. That is why it is very important. See, Prabhupada writes, that's why he adds that nectar in the fourth line of the purport. You see, discharging one's occupational duty as a means of rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of life. Bhagavad Gita confirms this as the process of karma yoga. Yajñartat karmanaha anyata lokayam karma bandhanaha, right? That shloka. In other words, we should act only for the satisfaction and service of the Lord. Otherwise, we'll be entangled by the resultant actions. This is all it means. It doesn't matter. We don't want to differentiate between one service and other service. This service gives me, then we extend it to devotional service also. In devotional service, we see which gives me most glorification. I get maximum, followers in the social media, then I do that seva. But if I have to sit with somebody and help them overcome some challenging situation, we will hesitate. There is only one person. This is all because in a subtle way, this time is there. It's a very rare commodity, and it doesn't grow. It just keeps decreasing. It doesn't grow. Initially we are given so much time. And then slowly, every second, it is decreasing. We don't realize that every moment when we offer it to Krishna, it comes back in multifold. Our Ayu Harati Vaipam some sloka, Prabhupada says that beautifully in the purport. Dasyarate yakshano nita uttama shloka vartaya. Yamraj cannot take even 1 second from the life of those devotees who are always engaged in glorifying Krishna and pleasing Krishna. So this Bhagavatam gives so many different places, as a means of rendering devotional service means what? I am doing, suppose I am taking you are taking your children to the school. That is a devotional service. When we think that it's my child, I have to take her to the school or take him to the school. I have to drop him off there. It's my responsibility. Then Krishna will be pleased because I'm seeing that as a means of pleasing Krishna. So we should never give up our prescribed duties. From first page to last page, that is what is given. And I will tell you, this most beautiful section in the entire Bhagavatam is this first canto, 5th and 6th chapters. where Narad Muni gives a complete synopsis of what all Vyasadeva should write in Bhagavatam. Right? Even in that, there are 5 shlokas. No, they are called actually Narad Gita, just like we have Bhagavad Gita, Uddhav Gita. This Narad Gita it is called. And these 5 shlokas, of course, this entire 5th and 6th chapter is called Narad Gita, but especially these 5 shlokas are the essence. And what Narad Muni says is that you keep this as the fulcrum of your description of the entire Bhagavatam. The writing of the compiling of this Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavat Puran. These 5 shlokas, you keep it as the basis. And with these 5 shlokas, everything else should be a expansion of that. In other words, of this instruction. What is that? 1:5:32 onwards. Please, if you read these 5 shlokas, with that we can open it up for questions. Actually, this topic is really vast, but we have to do justification within the allotted time. You see, this beautiful 1:5:32. Yes. Here onwards, 5 shlokas are there. These are the crux. You please give these shlokas for anyone who is confused about what to do, what not to do. This is Bhagavad Gita also. Krishna says the same thing. Yajñartat karmanaha anyata lokam karma bandhanaha. Everything he says the same thing. But he's developing it very nicely here. Both you can do it in parallel. You can cover both. Let's say Bhagavatam is complemented by Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita is complemented by Bhagavatam. Etat samshuchitam brahmam tapatraya chikitsitam yadishware bhagavati karma brahmani bhavitam. O Brahmana Vyasadeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This is the first instruction. Same thing. Karma Brahmani Bhavitam. Whatever you do, just offer it to Krishna. And offer it in the service of Krishna means do it so that Krishna will be pleased. Always keep in mind that if I do it, will Krishna be pleased? If I speak like this to this person, will Krishna be pleased? If I speak like this, will my spiritual master be pleased? If I do this activity, will my spiritual master be pleased? This is how I should keep asking this question every time, And then Krishna as Paramatma will supply us the thing as the correct instructions. We are not even asking that question. How will Krishna's answer will make sense to us, right? Only when we ask questions, then the answers, hey, oh yeah, this question I had, and this is the answer to that question also. But I don't even ask this question. I'm not even bothered about asking this question. Then, we won't be given that opportunity to get the benefit of the answer. Now the next shloka. Amayo yascha bhutanam jayate yena suvrata tadeva hyamayam dravyam na punati chikitsitam. See what a beautiful example that he is giving. Actually, Prabhu, there's a typo there. Just be/1. You can just type next from the next verse onwards easily. So he's saying, oh good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Beautiful question he is asking. Too much of milk creates some the indigestion or some problem in our body, stomach pain. Then that problem is solved by what? By a preparation which is from the same milk, that is your curd. When you take curd, then the indigestion, the disorder in the stomach, the pain, that goes away. So this is the example beautifully given to understand. Same karma creates more and more reactions, makes us to react more and create more and more sins. But in that same karma, yajñartat karmanaha, if you do it for the satisfaction of Krishna, it solves the problem. It cuts that very tree which created the very root which created this tree of karmic actions and reactions. So, in order to offer it to Krishna, we should accept he is the soul. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarva pravartate. We do it as an offering to Krishna. So he's asking this question so nicely that what you have done is that you have explained all dharma, kama, moksha in all your previous things, scriptures you have written, but you didn't do this. You didn't explain this very explicitly or prominently. So people get confused that, I'm doing this, I'm still, because they are doing it with the mentality to enjoy. So you please come out of bring them out of it. So the next sloka he is saying so beautifully. Evam nrinam kriya yoga sarve samsruti hetavah taye vatma vinashaya kalpante kalpitah pare. Thus, when all a man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which cause this perpetual bondage becomes the destroyer of the tree of work. Perpetual bondage. You see, so many lifetimes we created this tree, but in one lifetime we can cut it. What a beautiful, what a powerful thing we have with us. If we do it sincerely, if we do intensely, under the direction of the spiritual master and our Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, we can destroy it completely. Can any other process do this? They will say, no, you have accumulated it for so long. You go to some hospital, people smoke cigarettes for quite 30, 40 years, and they go to the doctor and they expect him to give one medicine by which they can solve. The doctor himself will say, no, you have accumulated for so long. It's not possible for me to do that. Others, they say, I will continue to smoke a cigarette, but I don't want a heart attack. So it's like that, I will continue to do fruitive activity, but I don't want the reactions. That doesn't work. That fruitive mentality itself, we have to get out of it, So this is the third verse, beautiful verse, When we are all man's activities are dedicated to Krishna's service, then everything is beautifully solved. Then the fourth verse. Yadatra kriyate karma bhagavat paritoshanam jnanam yattadadhinam hi bhakti yoga samanvitam. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called bhakti yoga. That's all pretty much the definition Narad Muni is giving. Anything that you do in this life, the goal is to satisfy the Lord's mission, or in other words, he wants to take everybody back home, back to Godhead. Or if you are here, to enjoy your life by doing bhakti yoga, whatever the service you do it, then that is what I want. I want everybody to be happy, hale and healthy. That's all is my desire. Krishna is telling. So we do it for that benefit, for ourselves also, and to help others also. That is what is called, then that is a transcendental loving service of the Lord. It's called bhakti yoga. And then knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. Means it's a side effect. You don't have to separately go and get everything. Yeah? Then the last verse in this section. Kurvana yatra karmani bhagavat chikshaya sakrit grinanti gunanamani krishnasyanusmaranti cha. Now he is telling why this work, doing any activity itself is devotional service, because while performing duties according to the orders of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one constantly remembers him, his names and his qualities. Isn't that the ultimate goal of life? Shinvan grinan samsmarayam chintayan namani krishnani cha mangalani te kriyasu yasva charanaravindayor avishta na bhavaya kalpate namani rupani cha mangalani te. Sorry. Shinvan grinan samsmarayam chintayan namani rupani cha mangalani te. It becomes anything that you do, hearing, chanting, remembering, constantly contemplating, meditating, everything, and the rupa, nama, etc. of the Lord, it all is very auspicious. Kriyasu yastva charanara vindayo. That is the most important line in the shloka. 10-37, Prabhu, if you are looking for the verse. So that particular verse, Kriyasu yastva charanara vindayo. The activity that we do should, if it enables me to, remember Krishna more, and enables others to remember Krishna more, contemplate and cause others to remember your names. I will be just sweeping the floor. I may not be chanting, but I may be sweeping the floor. But if somebody comes and sees the sweeping the floor and they say that he's sweeping the floor, it means he's sweeping here, the Lord is there, and he is doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. So that moment he is remembering Krishna. That is our ultimate success, Cause others to remember transcend names and forms. Avishta cheta na bhavaya kalpate. Na bhavaya kalpate means they never come back to the material platform. They're always on the transcendental platform. This is the ultimate aim of this, doing our activities, so our Swadharma. I will stop here, Prabhu Mataji. So these 5 shlokas. So the aim of doing all these activities is to constantly remember Krishna's name. I do one activity and I remember Krishna during the activity, and whether the result is adverse or positive, either way, I am happy because I remembered Krishna. Right? For Bhishma Deva it was adverse, but he remembered Krishna. For Vitrasura it was adverse, but he remembered Krishna. Right? For Chitraketu it was adverse. His child died, but he remembered Krishna. So adversities also brings Krishna's intense remembrance in our life. That is the essence of doing our activities, irrespective of whatever it may be. Parikshit Maharaj also, everybody in Bhagavatam, they face adversities, but they remember it prompted them to remember Krishna, because they understood the essence of these 5 shlokas. Thank you, Prabhu Mataji. I will stop here. I'm sorry I took a few more minutes extra, but any questions, comments, please do open up.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. It was. I mean, you didn't take any more time. It was a wonderful class. Exactly, it's 9 o'clock. So you're bang on time. Thank you for the wonderful, practical application of how to perform bhakti. And you did talk. You did start talking about there should be no fruitive. There is the apeksha. Should not be for a higher return. And you very nicely pointed out the shloka of acting whimsically. And what is whimsical is knowingly violating. So you very beautifully pointed about that point. And how we should do it, we should apply the scriptural injunctions as per time, place, and situation under the guidance of the spiritual master, which is very critical. And we talked about how Srila Prabhupada very simply talked of, his very basic thing of chanting 16 rounds, reading books, and taking only prasadam. But we also whimsically violated. So it's something which we should be more, thinking about. And then you talked with reference to rendering that is devotional service as a fruitive activity is also a serious, it's a serious violation, and that will not help us in progressing. And then you brought about the real atonement is Vedanta. That is perfect knowledge. And you just talked about the service begins at home and not for others' appreciation. And you touched about the 5 very critical shlokas in the first canto, 5th chapter, and 30 to 36, where Narada Muni explains to Vyasadeva in what mood and how we should offer everything to Krishna, and how we can engage everything on that. So it's a wonderful learning, Prabhu, for me personally. I just unmuted the line, so devotees feel free to ask your questions, Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
And share your comments. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhu, I'll ask you a practical question, may not be directly related. See, actually, when we do our prescribed duties, if we do it, and then we do our regular Krishna conscious activities, we hardly get any time to interact with anybody else. Like, sometimes I get scared. I don't see the paper. I don't get to know what's happening. I'm not meeting people.
You mean paper in the sense the newspaper?
Yes.
Okay. I mean the regular newspaper, you mean?
Yes. The day-to-day activities.
Okay.
Okay. I'm a senior citizen. So, but even then, if I get the paper and then sit down, I will be wasting about an hour's time.
Yeah.
So
you are saying you are worried that you are not getting time to read newspaper, or you are?
No, is it okay? Like I just leave.
We don't lose much by not reading newspaper anyway. It's all junk, because the thing is, the reason it is not useful is because every day it is changing. One day the person is glorified as a great personality, and another day is thing. And the same day, 10 people glorify him, 10 people denounce him. So who is right, who is wrong? We get confused. You see.
Yes.
And the other thing is that it's called Sansara Dharma Abhimukhya Manaha. Bhagavatam says the Sansara, the nature, everything has its nature, right? Water has its nature to flow. Fire has its nature to burn, etc. Right? So this samsara, this material energy also has its nature. What is that? To avimukhya manaha, means it has its nature to bewilder you. So if you are out of this thing, frankly speaking, you gain a lot. My special master told me once that, suppose one thing you take that, I don't want to have TV in my home. I don't want TV at my home. I don't have time to watch TV. Right?
Yes.
The entire world of TV is out of your life. The entire world means you will have so many different brands, 48-inch, 72-inch, 120-inch, flat, bulky, all different kinds of things, LCD, LED, so many different things. When you decide to buy a TV, you will end up spending so much time researching on this thing, who is giving discount, who is giving offer, whether it is good or not. So much time you will be spending on it just to watch some junk thing, right? And if you just don't have TV at home, one small thing you renounce, then the entire world of TV is out of your mind. So like this, samsara has its dharma to bewilder you. You just suppose you want to buy a car, electric car, gas car, petrol car, diesel car. Then within that also different brands. Within that also, sir, this is there, that is there. Then they will keep on introducing. And phone, every single invention comes and wastes our time, threatens our existence. So that's where we have to see very carefully, the more we grow older, the more we should only see at how much time is left with me. I'm not getting, by becoming older, my thing is not shifting. My end date is fixed. Nobody can change that date, right? So at the end of the day, if you are, like you say, in the beginning also you said, I'm doing devotional service and I'm doing my prescribed duties. As the essence of today's discussion is that my prescribed duty is also devotional service. So if we come to that consciousness, then you will have only one question you will ask, that Prabhu, I have time only to do devotional service. I don't have time to do anything else. This is how you would have put that question. Yes, Mataji?
Yes.
So when you put that question like that, then anybody who hears, especially devotee, will say, this is the best life you have. What else you want? If you don't have time to do anything other than devotional service, that is what our Brahma, Indra, Chandra, they are hankering for. Isn't it?
Yes.
So we just have to change the perspective. Frankly speaking, in devotional service, whenever we have problems now, we can't solve the problem. There's many problems that cannot be solved. So you just have to change the perspective.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So very many times sometimes we lose money in a certain way, we become disturbed. But actually speaking, somehow or other, you will get some Lakshmi somewhere else. At the end of the day, you want Lakshmi for some 3 meals and then, a place to stay. What more you want? I'm not telling you eat frugally and you stay frugally. Just the basic decent things you have. Not that extravagance. Extravagance always spoils our life, Mataji. The fabric of our devotional life. Even then it becomes, even in devotional life, we become conditional. Only if this is there I can do, only if that is there I can do, etc., etc. So somehow we should try to adjust these things, Mataji. And as I said, the whole life as devotional service. Just that we have to remember Krishna, that's all. The moment we remember Krishna, everything is sorted. Hope that helps, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavats,
Mataji. Very nice question. Thank you, Mataji.
Any other comments, questions?
Suppose we have to spend, I just thought, spend a little bit of it. Suppose
Yes,
you have to spend some time with, say, some materialistic people. We have to see how we can give Krishna to them, directly or indirectly, whichever way it is, Many times, one thing, I just shared this thing last week also when Sankarshan Prabhu was here, I shared this a nice quote that my spiritual master gave us, spoke in one of the classes, and I somehow felt that has a very deep meaning. and very, very deep realization, very easily applicable to all of us, whenever we have questions. Yeah, he says this thing nicely in one place. Something you do for Krishna, taking into consideration all the living entities. Sometimes we say, oh, I am doing it because this devotee is there, that devotee is there. No, we do all living entities, whoever can get benefited. You may do food for life. You don't say that only to these people I will give, only to those people I will give. We do Harinam. We don't say that only these people should hear, only those people should hear. Widely, whoever wants to get benefited, let them get benefited. But my constant thoughts is that everybody should be sarve sukhino bhavantu, no? That way. Krishna, we take into consideration all the living entities. Krishna will help us to find out some way. You will say, okay, Prabhu, I will do this service here. I will do that service. We will go to all the temples and we will do Harinam. We will go to hospitals and we will distribute prasadam. We will go to jail and we will do preaching. All these are coming out of our natural inclination to do good to the living entities, or give Krishna to everyone, right? And when we do that, he says that satisfaction has no comparison. Why? Because this satisfaction is Krishna's satisfaction, and from him the satisfaction is coming to us. Then he says everything has to be performed for his satisfaction. But the difficulty is everything we perform for our satisfaction. Therein we go wrong. One who thinks about others, everybody goes to him. Everybody is attracted to the person who puts his legs in others' shoes. This made me thinking for a while. So I keep sharing with whoever I connect with, because this is the essence of Krishna consciousness at the end of the day. We have to do it for Krishna's pleasure, and we do it for everyone's well-being. That's all. And because all living entities are satisfied by that mood and action, Krishna is pleased. Because Krishna is pleased, I am pleased. That's how the whole thing works. I do it for Krishna's pleasure, taking into consideration all the living entities. If I do it only for Krishna, no one else, then also Krishna will not be satisfied. Krishna is satisfied when you do it for everyone. Why Vasudeva was not getting the satisfaction? Because Krishna was not pleased. Then why? Because he was doing only for other satisfaction. He forgot about Krishna. Then when Narada Muni instructed him, you glorify Krishna with the mood that everybody else will be fully satisfied. Give the correct solution to people for getting satisfied. Then he did it. Because he did that act of doing Bhagavatam at the order of his spiritual master to please Krishna and for everyone's well-being, Krishna was pleased. And because Krishna was pleased, he was also pleased. This is the cycle. I hope that helps. Malini Mataji,
yes,
sorry. Raised your hand. Sorry, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, please speak up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. Your voice is a little low, Mataji.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for the very wonderful class.
Mataji.
All the insights and also summarized by Ravilochan Prabhu. I don't have a question,
yes,
but every time you give a class, we used to have darshan of your wonderful Jagannath deities behind you.
So they are just slightly there on the side, Mataji.
Oh,
the reason is, we have to, work on our altar, but there is no space for all of them. So we just kept them on the side.
Because every time beautifully they used to give darshan and mercy to us.
Yeah. So they were here for a long time, and they very benevolently gave their space to Radha Krishna. Actually, they are my brother's deities, cousin brother's deities, and he is no more. So we are managing, trying to serve them. Somehow or other, barely managing to serve them. So we do arati for all of them, but that's something.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a very good observation, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, or we'll take one last one.
Prabhu, you can't keep both of them at the same level now, Prabhu. No. Radha Krishna and Jagannath.
They can be. There is no big difference between Radha Krishna and Jagannath is Krishna himself, right? So you can keep, but you can also keep Jagannath one level, though he will not feel bad about it. You just keep him satisfied with more bhoga. Because Radha Krishna is our ultimate worshipable lords, right? So usually when you have the altar in which But in temples and all, what we do is we have more space, so we keep them, our Gaunatha and everybody on the same level. So,
Prabhu, Radha Mataji has raised a hand. If she can also, Mataji, if you can just speak up, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Thank you for the wonderful class.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, you like the point I understood from the lecture is like we have to work. We shouldn't see devotional service as a fruitive activity. We should work for the pleasure of Krishna.
Yes.
So, and also in Bhagavad Gita, it's always stated that we shouldn't see the result, but we should endeavor.
Yes.
So, in this, like when we are raising our kids in a competitive environment, how can we train them not to see the result? Because at their age, they will see the tangible part, not the intangible part. They cannot see. And talent for a parent, that we can't say that we cannot explain them because they are not at that age to understand. So how can we induce like little bit at their level?
The one good thing about children is that, Mataji, when we give them, nice moral stories and the shlokas or this thing, the shastras and little taste for the holy names, etc. in the young age itself, they will catch it very strongly, because by seeing our practices also, that's where they learn the most, by our practices. So, of course, you said it's such a practical thing, such in reality, we have to put them in the schools where so much of competition exists and we can't help, put them there. But we can't say that they cannot be impacted 100%. They cannot be out of that 100%. There will be some little bit here and there, but giving them this knowledge that do it for Krishna a little bit. We give them, even if they are 80% competitive, that 20% of Krishna's dependence on Krishna will sneak through and somehow make them fixed in the right mood eventually, Mataji. So we can't make them 100%. We can't expect to make them. If they become 100% like that, that is well and good. But if it is not possible, it's the order of the day. Somehow or other be competitive. Forget about children, Mataji. Even we have to be competitive in our professional life, isn't it? When we are working, there is no way you can say, I am satisfied with this much salary only, you give me a job. Then the different bosses will come and they will say, no, we have a better person who is earning much lesser than you and who is expecting much lesser than you, and they can do the same job. You please leave this space and give to someone else, right? So we cannot, that's why doing the prescribed duty immaculately well is very important, Mataji. That doing prescribed, I mean, seeing, my Guru Maharaj once told me that love your work like how you will love Krishna. Work includes study and whatever profession that we may be involved in. He said that if you do your work immaculately well, and then leave the result with Krishna and move on. The boss may be satisfied, may not be satisfied, that is not your job. But you are given a work within that given time. If you do it properly and you expect, immaculately means not that I will only do my job. You have to look into everybody. This boss asks this, that person asks this. So we have to do it in such a way that everybody's things are taken care of. Only then the boss will be, oh yeah, you did what I was expecting you to do. They will be pleased and they will give us more work. Their trust will be developed in due course of time, isn't it? That is more important. Trust is more important than the salary they are giving. They may give big fat package, but then the trust is gone. They will immediately kick us out. So that is the thing that we have to apply in our life. We train the kids in such a way that when they are studying, they are actually doing it to please Krishna, not for scoring marks and thing. But when they do it naturally, they will get the scores. But they will be happy that yes, I got this score. The competition and comparison, they come, that is unavoidable in this world, but somehow or other we can protect children only by giving them a little bit of that faith in Krishna and devotional service, Mataji. Engage them in small activities. The devotional service is really, really subtle and sublime. it can seep through and like a needle and out like a thunderbolt. No, so it will be like that. Never ever underestimate the power of devotional service.
Yeah, in the process, mainly as parents, we also get carried away by the competition.
Yeah, that is true. That is where we insulate them. We don't isolate them, but we insulate them. When we insulate them from this competitive thing, which means that, see, you study to the best of your ability and score good marks. Don't compare with others. Just because someone else is going and going to some other coaching and thing, don't worry about it. You do the best of your ability and do your work. That is, do your studies best. For that, if they have to sacrifice the coming to programs or these things and all, you give them that space. Especially when they are in the 10th, 12th standard and all, give them full freedom to only study their subjects. Once they are out of it, then they will see the world and they will come out, Mataji. They will come out successful, definitely.
Thank you.
Just one thing, my Guru Maharaj always said that you set the example. By your example, they will learn how you are reacting in difficult circumstances and favorable circumstances. From that, they will observe and they will learn. They will always, at the end of the day, wherever they may go, they will always see their father and mother as their heroes. That they will always take inspiration from them. So those two things, and give them engagement in some little way. Don't make them feel like, oh, you have to do devotional service, you have to do devotional. Then they freak out at some point. They really blow out. So that instead of that, you just give them, just part of their life. Like enjoy. You like in this thing. You just keep doing this. This is for Krishna. And studies, especially, which is very, very difficult, to tell them that do it as an offering to Krishna. And they will do it. And they will do. They are all different breed. The devotees the children who are brought up by the devotees, right? In the environment is very nice. So some little challenges will be there here and there, but completely surrender to Krishna and pray to him, and he will take care of everything. And the environment, of course, in the temple environment is really good when children come together and have their engagement, services together. So,
thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful tips and very, very, very practical in our day-to-day life. Thank you so much, Prabhu. We just end the session and we just look forward to having more and more of your association, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Before we just
I look forward to too.
Same, Prabhu.
Yeah.
We'll just before just ending, we'll just do the Vaishnava Pranam. Anantakoti Vaishnava Jai. Chila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you once again. I'll just end the session now.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you.